Everybody ready?
One
Sir.
second. Okay. One quiet.
Good thinking. Let me quiet mine.
Going off.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order 7:02 p.m. All members present, except for Mr. Weaver. We'll start the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. You okay? We're gonna do Texas flag or we're gonna do the American flag?
I wasn't working.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Father, thank you for allowing us to join tonight and talk about city business. Father, we ask you to keep us on task and just let us make the best decision we possibly can for the citizens of Bartlett. Father, you just be with each and every one of us tonight. And in your name we pray. Amen. No one signed up to speak tonight. If anybody needs to speak, let me know. Boards and commissions and committees, presentations, proclamations. So we give our monthly updates. Number one is the cemetery committee update.
The fence is painted and finished and everything's done out there. All we have to do is do some tree trimming. And we had our meeting the other day and we're discussing now up around where the flags are. That I'm gonna till that up and we've got about 4 or 5 people going into including Marty. I'm gonna put some flowers and bushes in that thing, kind of beautify have a little beautified garden and trim out some new trees. So that's what we're doing.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Appreciate everything you are doing out there. It's looking nice.
Thank you.
Item 2, Tyner Memorial Library monthly update. I know Miss Tina just dropped that off.
So they've had 80 total visitors. They've issued
Oh, you got it.
30 new cards. They had 25 books checked out last month, and they've had 5 computers in the computer lab. They also have utilized 66 hours of volunteer time and 60 hours of staff hours. And then as far as kind of some major updates here, so they ordered new library cards because they were running low. They do have workforce there Tuesdays and Thursdays to help everyone. And then a new initiative they're starting in January is ESL classes. They're currently planning that and looking to start it again in January.
That's awesome. That's good. That's really good to hear. Thank you, Mr. Lynn. And we did put a notice out last week for asking for more volunteers for library. I know we had another one drop off the library board, so we got a couple vacancies over there. Same thing with our MDD. We got a couple vacancies there, so just trying to get some new fresh blood in. So if you know anybody looking for wanting to volunteer, give back to the city, these are good opportunities. So send them down to City Hall to fill out a form. So speaking of MDD, Municipal Development District monthly update.
So they met recently, and in that meeting, they discussed a few things. One was the fiber project, wanting to know a status update on that. And so we're working to see what it would cost to get those poles installed downtown, since we've already got the poles. And then it would, based on what that might cost, we'd work with the MDD to see if they'd help us pay for that and utilizing some city funds. And then from there on, we'd work with BEC to roll out fiber. I know we've got other options of fiber coming into town, but that's going to be a big one just to get more, to be able to support a broader amount of business in downtown and getting them some competition. They also talked about some of their funding that they've got, and I think they're meeting with the Volkert property to see how they might be able to award something there. And then they've also just talked about, in the future where they might award, and I think Red and White was one that came up. And they've been trying to work with the donut shop, but they just haven't gotten really far there to get some signage.
Fair enough. Item 4, Parks Facilities Committee monthly update. Do you have anything on that? I know you and Stephen worked a lot at the Becky Caldwell Park, cleaning up some, went out there, it was kind of a disaster.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, we went out to the Becky Caldwell Park. I'd never been, wanted to just get some eyes on it, noticed that it hadn't really been maintained for quite some time. So I activated the Public Works team to go out there, help. They did some mowing. We noticed that the benches are gonna need some work, so we're looking at what we need to do there, getting some staining also, because it looks like they just need to be, it's weathered. Some are warped. And then we talked about the actual concession stands and the shape that that's in. There was a lot of wasps out there, so we went out and knocked a lot of those down. And then as far as, luckily we got some rain, but there was cracks all over the fields, and then they just don't look that great right now. So that's one thing that we're going to be working on before the spring is just getting that park ready to go. Because we have a lot of people come in from out of town that come into Bartlett, and that's what they see. So we want to make sure that we leave a good impression on them so that they want to come back into Bartlett.
That park, is that just from like Little League softball, or is it like men's softball, women's softball, adults?
I'm sure it could be used for whatever league if you want.
T-ball on up, what I went to.
What's that?
T-ball on up.
A couple years ago, Jesse, about 3 years ago, Bartlett Youth League come to us, and we signed an MOU between the city and the youth league. The city owns the property, the city owns the field, the city owns the complex. The youth league is supposed to maintain those fields and the property. Once again, they're working with volunteers, just like everybody else in the city. Nobody's paid, there's no salaries, so once again, you're just dependent on volunteers. And so I've asked them in the past, every time I've talked to anybody out there, if you need help, if you need assistance, call City Hall. We'll send a crew out to do some cleanup, some mowing, whatever needs to be done. I just never get those phone calls. We never get those phone calls. And then I was a little disgusted last year whenever my son played his last games out there for the season. And we went out there and the trash hadn't been emptied all season. I mean, there's no way that was from 1 week. I mean, every trash can, there's like 13 trash cans out there. Every last one of them was full to the brim, overflowing, wasps, bees flying everywhere, trash everywhere, blowing around. It was a little bit discouraging to see that because, as Myra just stated, they're in a league where you got about 8 different cities where they come in and out. Rogers, Academy, Holland, Granger, Florence, I think some Salado. I mean, just a whole bunch of Gerald, a whole bunch of different teams. And those people are coming to our complex, and that's what they're seeing when they come here. That's pretty embarrassing. And so we got to sit down with Bartlett Youth League. We got to have a meeting, and we got to get this back in control, or the city's going to have to step in and do something hard. And then they can still use it, but we'll be the ones calling the shots and not them. Go ahead.
Well, I visited my house and was ripped apart that the city has let that go. And it was by a youth league member. And I said, hold up. We had the opportunity to lease it out to this other little team, and everybody went berserk. Y'all wanted it. We got that contract signed. Yes, there are some things the city is responsible for, but y'all are responsible.
The city's not responsible for coming out and emptying your damn trash.
No. And that all boils down to, Jim and Rosemary were in it. It's all apparent volunteers, and we all know how that goes.
They
But
get free electricity, free water. We don't charge them anything for any of that. They should have the greenest fields in Texas.
Yep.
I mean, if I was running a baseball complex and I had free water, I can sure guarantee you'd have some nice fields.
Every coach with every team knows.
You go 5 miles up the street and they don't have free water and free electricity, and their fields look pretty outstanding.
well, I
So,
think
that's
the
some BS
problem
right
is
there.
they kind of had a little shakeup in their board members. some new different board members. Some have quit, they've got some other ones on there, and it's all in who's, it's all in who's running it.
No
And
excuse.
Exactly. So, but carrying on with that, we did have a good national night out at the city park this past week.
And that was cleaned up right beforehand.
And it was cleaned up right beforehand. Place looked sharp. It was a good turnout and it was a huge success. There are still some things that we need to do at our city park. Obviously, all of our facilities need some TLC, but we did get an email this morning we buy our energy from LCRA, and Myra and I had a lunch with them a week and a half ago with our two guys from LCRA, and we asked about some grant programs that they've offered in the past. Found out that we don't really qualify for the ones that have come up in the past, and but they said they would dig in and see, if there's any out there that we do qualify for. Well, good news is on a holiday Monday, first email out of the box this morning was an email from LCRA where we got $1,500 grant coming to us for a community project. And so there's a whole bunch of different places you can use that, and there's a list of places where you can't use it. And so I'm kind of leaning towards some work at the Becky Caldwell complex. The concession stand is got a lot of issues. I've got pictures on my phone if you want to see them. I've got some materials that were left over from a project that we just finished in Cedar Park that I can donate, and we can basically re-side the entire concession stand and trim it out and do some major upgrades there. But with the 1,500, I think we could this is something we can bring back to the next council meeting. This is a no action item, just information, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I think we can put together a small project where we have 1,500 coming from LCRA. Maybe we can go to MDD and see if they'll match 1,500, and maybe the city can match 1,500 also. Then all of a sudden you got almost $5,000, and you can get quite a bit done with that kind of money out there. And really, we got a tennis court out there that needs
It's
tennis.
in rough shape.
A net, it needs some cleanup. I mean, it could be used. I mean, 3 years ago, me and Chief Holt drove out there one morning, and there was two ladies out there, and they just weed eated all the way around the thing, and had an extension cord stretched across there, and they were out there playing tennis
Really?
over an extension cord. So, I mean, it would be used if it was just usable. So,
Yeah, I've been told that, I guess there used to be basketball courts there.
so it's out of sight, so it's kind of forgotten about, honestly. We've got somebody who's supposed to be managing it and taking care of it, probably not doing the absolute best job. They could do better. Maybe they're doing the best they can with the volunteers they do have. But together as a team, between them and city, we can make it definitely 10 times nicer than it already is. And so we just need to get together, have a meeting, have a workshop, and go from there.
I'm also looking at potential grant opportunities for parks, just given that there's a lot of money out there for parks. And obviously we've got our park, our city park, and then you've got the Becky Caldwell Fields. It looked like there used to be a park there as well, but it got tore out. So that'd be, we've got the land, so it'd really just be putting something out there that could be used by the community. So that's one thing that we're looking at as well.
So that's all that. I mean, anybody else have any questions or comments? Well,
Because the youth leagues that are using it, and they have a donation program going on, kind of like we did out of Secretary.
I know they do annual fundraisers and different events.
They usually do what's called the blowout, where the Ag Boosters do the blast. This one's called a blowout, and it fell through last year. Takes a lot of money really to get one of those started. And I think that's part of it too there. But we could do some things,
Yeah, just ask for something.
some fundraiser donations.
But it's not just the baseball. They do basketball. Do they do football anymore? I don't know if they do football in Bartlett or not, but flag footballers, I don't know.
Do the patrol, they patrol that in that, anybody?
They
I've
do.
seen cars parked out there.
They do. I mean, probably not as much as they should, but they do. they've run some people out of there in the past, so. But that's all that on that, so, moving on, consent agenda. All the other updates are here in your packets, and that's what item number 5. Receive monthly department reports. They're in your packets. Anybody can pull any of these out to discuss in the regular agenda. So item 5, receive monthly department reports. And then item number 6, approve minutes from the following meetings: 9/11/2023 regular meeting and 9/25/2023 meeting. So if you want to pull any of those out to discuss, we can. If not, we just need an ultimate motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
We got a Vicky motion to approve the consent agenda as is, and a Shelton with the second. All in favor? Carries 4-0.
I will say that that's got some really good information if y'all are looking to see. We're tracking a lot of
Yeah,
work, so you can kind of start to see how we're doing that, especially with Public Works.
you guys are gonna like these reports. They're nice. I mean, this is what we've been missing, so this is really good. Thank you, Myra. Thank you. And thank the ladies and the gentlemen that are putting those together. So, we have no workshop agenda tonight. Consent agenda is already done. Regular agenda, review, discuss, and consider action. Item number 7, consideration and possible action to authorize city administrator to issue a request for proposals for a utility rate study.
So as we talked about in the budget, whenever we were looking to do the fiscal year 24 budget, this is something that was included as one of the things that we wanted to do with the raised tax rate. And so this is that request for proposal, hoping to get it out soon. I mean, we can push it to later, but this is really just one of those things that as soon as possible for us, that way, you know, they're going to look at our current study, look at our cost of service, and see whether or not rates need to be raised and as to what. And so this is going to be key for us because I think rates haven't been looked at in a few years. And then we've got a few things that just aren't really along with best practices. It relates to our customer classes. Right now, I think we just have residential, commercial. It's not really divided by type of commercial. And then you've also got some of our rates aren't really like, there's not a volumetric in the sense of kind of an increasing, where you see that with other cities where it's kind of tiered based on usage. So your higher users will have to pay a higher rate, and that kind of works to enforce some conservation as well. And since we have a 2L system, that'd be something that we probably want to do. So this is the request for proposal that would be issued out. And it's got the draft dates on there for y'all, and the due date would be November 10th if it was approved tonight. And I know that we'll probably get 1 to 2, hopefully 2 to 3 firms who submit. And the goal is we'll see what they come in at, but it's around 45 to 55 is what I'm thinking. We'll see the proposals come in at.
Once again, this is something that pays for itself rather quickly. I mean, we've talked about this for months and months, and the more and more we dig into our billing and our rates and stuff like that, and the amount of work that we have coming down the table that we need to do, and then you start comparing to neighboring cities our size, and we've been leaving a lot on the table. I mean,
Is it gonna address the rates that we should charge for new services too? They're gonna be a part of it?
I mean, we can include that kind of in the fees of, you mean like the taps that are paid, or,
You're right.
yeah. I think that one's not one, I mean, we can ask them to look at it as to what others are paying, but that's one that we could simply look at in-house and say, okay, what is everyone else's tap fee? And from my understanding, we've already done some initial work at that, and we're severely under. So we're at 2,000 for water, 2,000 for wastewater right now in tap fee. And then we also discovered another fee that we'd never been placing, which is let's say I have a new lot that's been undeveloped and somebody wants to come in and develop on that lot. They're supposed to pay, I think it's $1,100 to just have a utility study on it.
Cost of service.
Yep, so we've never paid that, so the city's been absorbing that cost, and it does cost around $1,000 for us to send it to the engineer and say, here's what's existing, can we serve this? And they'll say yes or no, and then if it's the no, well, what does it cost for us to upsize? And then that's a cost that the city bears normally, and that's another one that we're gonna look at within a utility extension is, can that be a pro-rata shared cost with whoever's developing that lot? So that's one that we've now started to also enforce because we've got some lots that have never been developed. So now they're getting that $1,100 sticker shock of, oh, I mean, I think we've already gotten one that we've sent that out to. But as it relates to the tap fees, and the mayor and I talked about this, we're at $2,000 for each. Cities are going as high as $18,000 for each for a tap.
Wow.
I think it'd be safe for us to probably go to 5,000 to 6,000. Don't think we necessarily need to have a study to have a tap fee increase, but it's one thing that we can look at and probably bring back to you all as we look at the fees overall.
So you go to the engineer, you look at water and wastewater, what about electric, are they addressing that too?
I don't believe they've looked at the electric side of it because most of these, for now, have been where there is, but I do understand that there's an issue with transformers and whatnot and being able to serve from there.
Of 2 locations where we had to run like multiple poles, multiple footage of wires, set transformers.
Yep.
So, I mean, we've left a lot of money on the table there also.
And that's one that we need to look at too, is how we can recover costs from the electric side. Because it's significant.
So tap fees are a little tricky because you can't charge more than what it's gonna cost you to do the tap.
Right.
I mean, you come up with a set fee, but you can't say like $10,000 just to make, $5,000.
It's not profitable.
It's not, yeah, you're not doing it to make, but you're doing it to cover equipment, manpower, diesel, material, and I think we all know that the price of everything has gone through the roof in the last 2 years.
Specifically material.
It's specifically material and diesel, and so it's,
I mean, we were looking
Average
at,
cost though, right? It's not,
same thing with the rate study, like the whole rate study all the way across, when you're looking at the LCRA, and we were talking about it the other day at lunch, is, the city pays a flat, certain amount per kilowatt hour or whatever it's LCRA. But now the ERCOT's put all this other mess in there. Now you've got the ancillary charges and all that. Ancillary charges for the city of Bartlett for the month of August was $32,000, $31,000, something like that. That's something that we're not getting back from our utility bill.
so
That's
the ancillary charge, the way that
absorbed by the
ERCOT
city.
enforce this rule is, and from my understanding, and it's not all the understanding that there needs to be on it, but when the PUC and ERCOT got together to figure out how they were going to try to get more power generation on the market so that if there is a chance where they're going to have to shut down systems, they've already got some reserves. What they're doing is they're telling these companies, these generators, hey, I need y'all to reserve. I'll pay you so-and-so amount if you reserve 5,000 kilowatt hours or whatever it may be. But then they'll say, all right, y'all can now put that out there. Well, when they enforce that, they're putting a prime rate on what they're selling that at. And so right now, I mean, sometimes it's stuff that they're not even putting out there. They're just holding it back. So it looks like the system doesn't have any power, but they're really holding a lot back right now. It's a very complex system that they created. But what eventually happens is they then charge us for that ancillary of having it reserved.
Okay, so the ancillary is what we run over.
Nope.
No.
No,
then
it's,
to store extra electricity in case we need it.
Yep.
So what they're trying to do is control where, if we had another ice storm with the generation.
they're trying to
freezes up,
control the market.
They're trying to control the market better so everybody doesn't get these big power bills.
What was our
You remember
charge
back in the-
during the ice storm?
$497,000, I think,
What's the
was
charge during the
This
ice
is trying to
storm?
prevent that.
our, and out of that, over 420 of that was, or 400 of it was ancillary charges because it wasn't capped during the ice storm.
Yeah.
Now the PUC has come in and put a cap on ancillaries. I think it's $5,000 a kilowatt hour or something like that, is what they got it capped, something crazy,
So,
which still seems outrageous when we're paying $39 a kilowatt hour, you know, I mean.
It's really a simple way to put it is, you're gonna pay them now or pay them later.
Yep.
If you pay them later, it's gonna be a lot higher.
But it's what I'm saying on the rate study side is the
There's a rate
city,
stabilization.
the city is absorbing that because we haven't adopted
that's
a
what I was
rate
gonna
right now of
ask.
12.5 cents a kilowatt hour or
so
whatever
the
for our
citizens are
citizens.
complaining
It's not in there.
about their
It's not in
charge
there.
right now.
Oh, that, it's never been
Not-
raised.
Not realizing
It could be higher.
that we, the city,
So our lining is getting
absorbing
extremely
this.
thin if you know
they're not absorbing it. We are,
this, right.
the city, is,
If
which is still the citizens, but.
other, like, as an example, if
He's
you
about to build a
have
solar farm.
Encore,
I have a half acre you can put a solar.
yeah, as an example, if you have Encore or anybody else that's serving you, right, you'll have kind of that delivery charge that they put on there, which is normally equal to what you're paying for power.
So,
So for us,
so
that's where you see others push that cost. I don't believe we have a delivery charge.
yes, we do. So
Oh, we do.
about 4 years ago, whenever they negotiated the utility rates here in the Bartlett, and we got locked in on a really, really great rate. Props, you know, to the gentleman and everybody who was negotiating that. We got locked in on a really great rate for 7 years. They didn't factor in the transmission costs, which is the delivery rate basically. And we write about 30 some odd checks a month for transmission costs. And I mean, it's anywhere from Rio Grande Valley Electric to AEP to Encore to
Everybody in the.
Austin Electric.
Austin Electric, Denton Power and Light, Lubbock Power and Light. I mean, it's like anybody over that's connected to has transmission lines connected to the grid, we have to pay a certain percentage. And we've been getting letters in the mail for the last 3 months from every single one of them saying that the PUC is allowing them to up their rates. And so that lining has gotten thinner. So everybody else is raising their rates and everybody else is taking care of theirs. But we haven't raised our rates here in the city of Bartlett for over 5 years now, around 5 years. And which nobody wants to be the bad guy and raise rates, raise taxes or anything like that. But if we're going to survive and we're gonna have funds in the bank to fight the next ice storm or anything like that and do repairs to our system, we got to do this rate study and we got to start at least
How
look
long
at
does
this.
it take them to do this rate study?
Not long, 3 to 6 months.
I really.
But yeah, I mean, you look all the way around us. We're probably one of the cheapest utilities around there, around the whole area. I promise you right now. I mean,
No, you're not.
And on the electric side, they'll recommend a few things that other MOUs do, which is kind of that electric stabilization rate or looking at some kind of way to add some ancillary cost buffer. So they look at, based on what you paid over the last 24 months, they look at all of that and they figure out, okay, here's what you probably need to be charging each customer to just be able to, as an example, pay that $30,000 bill. Well, it was actually a $90,000 bill, right? But it was $30,000 extra for ancillary that we had to eat because the city's not making that from any of the rates, right? We're not getting cost recovery right now. Where it's a fund that should be supporting itself.
yeah, when our utility bills usually, average $35,000 to $55,000 a month, then all of a sudden you get a $90,000 bill. So including myself, the citizens out there who were, extremely surprised and upset whenever they got a $900 bill in the mail for that 1 month. Guess what? Same thing happened to the city of Bartlett. I mean, we opened up our bill and we're like, "Ooh, what happened?" It's like, because we were expecting, $55,000, $60,000 bill, $93,000. Ouch, so. But anyways, that's the rate study's far. I mean, and do the rate study. Yeah, I mean, we can get on the phone. We can call around our neighboring cities and say, "What do you charge for this? What do you charge for that? What do you charge that?" You need a third party to come in here and do this.
This is what they do for a living.
This is what they do for a
They
living.
look at
all
your
kinds of things.
entire operation and what it costs. And
They
what
look
you
at all
need to
kinds
make.
of things. And then when you have angry citizens coming in here, they're not angry at us. They're angry at the third party. Just saying.
It's gonna tell the truth.
Well, they're still going to be angry at us because that's just what we do.
But at least y'all are hearing. the reasons behind this.
So they're all gonna blame us.
You know?
We're sending them to your house.
It's my fault.
Y'all don't like it? Go to Tom's house.
Yeah, we're gonna have commentary meeting and
You know, all right, okay, so we're doing everything we can to heat our house with gas. I haven't heard anybody talk about gas skyrocketing, and that's good.
The city of Bartlett doesn't control the gas, it's Atmos Energy.
Right, well, even
And
if,
so-
I mean, you don't really control the electricity either,
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah,
at the mercy of all these other people, but,
I heard some people during the storm, and I know when I was growing up, we had a floor furnace. Okay? And it was really cold and it snowed. And you could tell, we had the floor furnace set on our regular stuff, but you could tell that the amount of flame wasn't coming out of there. I mean, gas wasn't coming. It was like, there
Low
was,
pressure.
yeah, low pressure.
The first one, it was low pressure.
well, there was a problem.
And that's what caused the problem with the generation. That's what caused the problem with the generation too, because they lost gas,
during
gas
you.
turbines that they used. And they didn't have pressure to run them. That's why the grid got in trouble.
Mhm.
It all connects back to, I mean, it's all interconnecting. It's really crazy. I mean, yeah, look, get that ERCOT app on your phone and just kind of go through it.
And you can see the prices and how they fluctuate based on
Yes.
demand.
You can see the usage too.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yes, ma'am.
So, I know people are gonna be really upset, and I didn't know what ancillary, all I heard was, people don't come to the meetings, so
We,
put it in the paper, I don't know,
Yeah.
sell it.
It will definitely be something that we advertise.
anytime we adopt a rate change, I think we have to publish it.
Yeah, I mean, not just as a rate change, but why,
Yeah.
Yes. And we'd put, we could probably have public meetings. That's actually something that normally is recommended.
Yeah,
All three of y'all will show up.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what's frustrating. I know it frustrates Mr. Luna. I mean, we post in multiple locations about the meetings. I mean, the only place we're legally required to post it is out front on the board. But we post it out front on the board, we post it on the website, we post it on the city Facebook page. I mean, all kinds of people are sharing that. It's just silly. I mean, and then they don't want to attend the meetings, but then they want to sit out there and bicker, and it's like, what can you do? I mean, we even have cookies. We have cookies, people, home baked.
One pack of cookies is gonna have leftovers.
So, I mean, what else can you do? I mean,
Yeah.
But the point's taken. We'll work to make sure that we,
Yeah, 'cause,
communicate the
my
change.
hands went to my hips, when I first, maybe you're gonna recommit, but then after you hear all this stuff, you understand why. It's not just because the city isn't being smart with their money or wasting money or, 'cause that's.
As we're sitting here right now, we're not being smart.
We're trying to get smarter. is what we're trying to do.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And citizens want better things.
And that's
It
gonna
takes
cost
money.
Sure.
But they don't want to pay for it.
and the cost of everything's gone through the roof.
Anybody that's
So
got electricity.
we're making the same-
paying for these
we're charging the same rates we did 5 years ago to what we're charging now, but inflation over those 5 years it's almost like this, I
And your
mean,
costs are going up.
it's not
And that's
this,
the
it's-
thing. It's all the citizens' money. It's not like you say, well, the city's making money, but right now, when we get those kind of charges,
Such
that
a
wasn't in the
revenue.
budget. That-
and all that
wasn't
money,
baked in.
all that money generated on utility income and tap fee income and all that stuff, that's put right back into the system every month. That's how the city workers are paid. That's how the equipment's paid for. That's how the diesel's put in the equipment to keep it moving. The maintenance on that, the parts that they put in the ground, they have to clamp all these pipes, or if they have to cut pipe out, that all has to be paid for somewhere, somehow. So salaries, and it's as if we can get better and make more money, then we can get more help, and we can do bigger projects, which our infrastructure in town, as everybody's heard me say forever, is over 110 years old. You know, we're digging up pipes in town that still have 1913 stamped on the pipe. You know, we're talking 110-year-old infrastructure in the ground and, you know, underground. And so the only way to replace that is with finances. I mean,
It's only getting more expensive.
we've got grants out the wazoo. Grants take forever, and grants can cost you a lot of money. And so they do help get more done, but
Not free.
they're still not free. Very, very, very few of them are 100% paid for it. And so,
And so when I'm hearing the Baker Caldwell Field, part of me is going back to all this going, oh, okay, now you want me to worry about the field. There's probably the least of our.
Well,
It's all important.
it's all important
It's all
stuff. Every just like keeping the library open. I mean, doesn't what's it generate?
But it's like
75
it's
cents a
all-
month? I mean,
It all takes
yeah, I
money.
mean, you know, I
And
mean,
they're not doing anything.
but it's an amenity that's valuable to the citizens.
To bring
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, so
Service for the community.
Oh, for one night, my daughter-in-law comes into town the next morning on her way to work. She and my son used to be big volunteers with that. And she puts on Facebook, they left the lights on with off. Those are demand meters, correct?
well, that's all Bartlett Electric Co-op. So we have
So
to
that's the
pay.
co-op.
We're paying. We're buying that energy from the co-op, which is
Now, we're not charging you
Electricity,
to have, it was an oversight.
yeah, sure.
Somebody just like, come on. But all I can see is closed. See? You know, and it's, I'm giving you things, if we can get some citizens. We all have different opinions.
to be nice.
That's okay.
Did everybody pay their seat?
Well, that'd be.
We're doing good. We're doing good on that.
But
Good.
if we could get people.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well on that.
I've been complaining,
Everyone that owes is on a payment plan.
we all live here,
And then if they haven't paid, they've been disconnected.
to turn this around, you
So
know,
we cut off the.
picking up the
I believe we
leaves.
did.
We've
I'll
done
double
this.
check. I gave the yes, so I'm thinking it did happen.
They're working water
Put
meters.
that on.
Fire, do you have a system set up for anytime you disconnect somebody like that, then we put one.
We don't have any grapple things that fix it up.
Where we what?
They're having.
Put a new
What?
meter. A new meter.
Oh, no, not yet, because right now we don't have,
Anytime you pull a meter.
And so you have to put stuff.
we want to
on
get the
priority.
ones that we can't get to right now.
What's the most?
But then eventually that'll be the
Well, I
system.
understand, but
We
Yeah,
want just.
Is there
a nice
anywhere?
field,
yeah, you might as well.
might as well do it, 'cause it's gonna cost you if you go back.
You know?
Yeah.
Our kids deserve that,
Got this, got this cut off down.
but again,
Believe so, I'll double check.
Huh?
I'll double check.
And volunteers.
and volunteers.
That guy that's moving in, how much are they paying all their fees down at the corner down there, bringing up the building?
Oh, yeah.
And all that, they get their underground fees are paid,
What? We all.
whatever he's. got
They had apparently never been invoiced.
down. Do it.
They had never been invoiced. And then we figured that out and gave them a pretty big one and they paid it.
Anyways, back on task.
Okay,
We still need action on this
Item
item.
number 7, we need an action or
okay.
to authorize the city administrator to issue request for.
We authorize the city administrator to request proposals for utility rate study.
Shelton made a motion with a Jesse Luna second. All in favor? Let us carry 4-0. RFP away, girl.
Ooh, we going.
We going. Item number 8, consideration and possible action to authorize the submission of community development block grant mitigation resilient communities
This was their language.
program project application to the general land office for a comprehensive plan update and any other related future planning efforts.
So this item essentially is one that would allow us to apply for, I believe y'all had a presentation a while back.
The
on looking-
GLO.
The GLO, looking at a comprehensive plan update. As you know, ours, I believe, was done in 2005. Those normally you want to do every 10 to 20 years. For a city that's not growing as fast as we are, maybe 20 years. That one expires in 2025. So right now would be a really good time to update that plan. The grant with the GLO would be one that is completely paid for by the GLO to do that. And from my understanding, it could be up to $300,000. And so it's a fairly new program, and they're kind of just starting to award now. but it's one that we've worked with Langford, and they would help us with the submission. And it's one that's being highly recommended for us to go after.
You
So
guys remember, what was his name?
Jordan Eckhart.
Jordan came in here a couple months ago and we talked about the GLO. He's from MRB, but we'd have to do the application process through our grant writers, and that's, we use Langford and Associates. And so this is one of those grants that they keep telling us is like the state of Texas has like a couple $100 million sitting in an account, and it's like first come, first serve.
Mhm.
Will
So
they sign it?
basically, you're guaranteed as long as you fill out the application.
I ain't gonna hurt us.
He said it's been there every year and we could have got 300,000.
I think it's in like, I think it expires in like 2027 or something like that.
Really?
So as long as we, so we just need,
Put our name in the bucket.
Please.
Know what they're talking about? What they're talking about, because it's gonna take a minute to read this off.
Oh, the resolution?
Yeah.
I think you just have to say that you approve, or you,
So we don't have to do anything?
no, you can just say that you are voting to approve the resolution number and then kind of list it off. Or you could say what
Where's the-
for. It's on the very last page.
Okay. I'd like to propose that we approve the resolution number 2023-1009-01 for the application to the general land office. Comprehensive plan update and future planning.
Yeah, it's like you've been doing this a while.
Second.
There you go.
Ms. Cooper's made a motion with a Gail Jones second. Man, we had all parties involved in that. Look at y'all.
We'll let you vote now.
All in favor? That carries 4-0.
Sneaking or touch sneaking before you back.
So that's resolution number 2023-1009.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, future agenda items?
I'll think of something about midnight. and get all that shut off.
Well, you can just save it for next. Obviously, the MOU discussion with,
Oh, yeah, the baseball, you need to do something with the baseball people. Or you do people.
We'll try to set up a meeting with them.
anything else?
And Brandon Grigsby evidently is the president.
I'll sign this.
Oh, perfect.
He's evidently the president, I think.
I'll have to
Nope. That's the minutes.
Group taking care of it. It sounds like that's kind of played out.
Do what?
They used to have a pretty good group out there taking care of it.
Matt?
Who's bringing cookies next meeting? Well, it needs to be in the minutes.
Well, I'll bring sandwiches and cakes next time. Sandwiches and cakes at the second meeting.
Any other future agenda items?
Sandwiches and cakes at the second meeting of the month. Write it down.
I just have a question. What's going on about that subdivision?
Which one?
All right, so update on the subdivision.
The one,
So you've got the latest on that one.
is it going forward?
So Mr. Robert, after working with the city for well over a year, city working with engineering, we could only provide him about 150 LUEs right now, which is basically 150 living unit equivalents, which is a house. So 150 taps on the water and wastewater. We can probably do more on water, but we only had 150 capacity on the wastewater. He's wanting to do 550 homes. We're not guaranteed to get the funding for the new sewer plant. We still gotta do the application process again. We do have a meeting tomorrow afternoon with Texas Water Development Board to discuss some options. But Mr. Robert, or Bartlett Farms, did not want to wait any longer for the city to provide those LUEs, so they sent us an email, his lawyer, asking to be removed from the ETJ, is 100% legal, so they can develop their own mud district. So he's still going through with his project, but now he wants to do it under a mud district rather than through the city, through the PDD that we've already approved. So the city will release them from their ETJ. Really, no way we can't.
Mhm.
So we will release him from the ETJ, and he will have to create his own mud district, which means he will have to provide his own
Water and
utilities,
wastewater.
water, wastewater, all of that. So basically, he's going to be building his own Sonterra kind of type thing out there, right next to the city,
You must be planning on getting a lot bigger.
without any city utilities or city anything. Which means the city will lose.
Property tax.
It's trying to kill me.
So the city will lose property tax because it, well, not lose, but it will not gain property tax revenue because it's not coming into the city limits. Because it was gonna be a project that they were going to annex in. Now, I believe from the last conversation, they are looking to subdivide some property that's already in the city limits to do about 30 homes.
He's under contract on another little parcel of land. It's about 24 houses.
Mhm. So we'll have some properties that I believe though that will be brought in, but we've also just had interest from other bigger companies that are looking to probably develop within Bartlett, and so we'll just see who's the first one to
So
do
he
it.
thinks the mud is gonna be a faster, I mean, like, we're just too slow.
Honestly-
Well, I think the financing's the big part for this.
It's a financing thing. It's because for a PDD to make sense, he was going to need more than 150 lots. But he's going to need that PDD financing up front. But we can only give him 150 lots in phase one. Well, he needs more like 250 or even more to get the PDD financing. PID, PDD, basically the same thing. I think the city adopted the PDD.
But we haven't lost any money.
No, in fact, he's been the one paying all of the legal bills and all of the MR engineer bills, which added up, guys. He spent a lot of money and got nowhere with the city. I mean, I had a great meeting with him last week. No hard feelings. He actually wants to sit down and look at other ways he can help the city. I mean, he's going to bring 2,000 people to the edge of Bartlett. I mean, we're going to have a lot of impacts on our.
That'll be sales tax dollars for
But it
us.
will be sales tax revenue, about the only thing the city will benefit from. So,
He does build annex. You well,
we discussed, I mean, he's going to put his own well in, his own wastewater treatment
spends a lot
plant,
of money.
his own
A lot of
streets.
money.
I mean, and they got to maintain all that instead of dumping it on the city at the end. I mean, so
But with the mud, what they typically are able to do is do long-term financing for the life of the mud. And then they also they can create their own tax rate so then that's another way that they get revenue. So then they tax the people that live there. And so as an example, Sonterra mud, the tax rate over there is about 95 cents per $100. And that's on top of what they pay for the county tax, the school tax, and everything else. So
You get paid school tax.
So
the school will definitely benefit from his project.
mhm.
Definitely. Now, the city will still benefit if he does this other 24 homes.
Just
I
won't be on
believe
the same
100%
scale.
of that's in the city.
He's gonna fix all these roads up out there.
He's going to do all those roads. He's going to do everything.
Still have to go through the county process, and I believe the county does make them fix roads. But again, that's the county's process, not something that we'd really be able to dictate.
So it's still going to happen, but it just basically, as soon as we got the phone call from him, our very next, within a minute, we were calling or sending an email out to our engineer and our attorney saying stop all billables on Bartlett Farms. So we cut it off immediately. That way we're not on the hook for anything ourselves. And so, and then we got an email from his lawyer, asking to release from the ETJ. So that's all we needed. We're in the good.
We're still doing the water tower upgrades. That's under design.
That was happening anyways.
Yep.
So that's got to happen anyways. But we've already met with another bigger developer, very interested in Bartlett, actively looking to purchase land,
They want to annex in.
and they are.
Are we ready for that financially? I mean, to upgrade our sewer plant.
That's one thing we're looking at.
It's that's kind of scary.
Well, so, and this is what we talked about, and the mayor and I have talked about it. We're looking at the options, and we're gonna figure out more with Texas Water Development Board and our bond council, and also our financial advisor. But what happens with these development agreements is often you get an upfront payment, right? And it can be in the upwards of millions of dollars. So tap fees, you get those paid, and there's also, they could be pro rata costs with
Jeff's got a bunch of
improvements to public improvements. So you get money upfront often, oh, thank you, where
Okay, twisted my-
you can then use that money, let's say you get, as an example, $5 million upfront.
Take them with you, Tom.
You can then use that toward the financing of that sewer plant. Because right now, let's say if we were to do I think it was 15 million for the Texas Water Development Board loan, it's about $700,000 in principal and interest payments a year. The city can't afford that right now. But if you did have something where they paid $4 to $5 million, you could afford to make those payments in the next 3 to 4 years until you went vertical, and then you'd have the revenue from the water, the wastewater, and the property taxes.
So regardless, any other houses coming in here,
We can only do 150 right now.
TCEQ is gonna make us at some point,
Yes.
and they want a new sewer line. At some point, they want it right now, but it ain't gonna
At
happen.
some point soon.
Yeah, that's why we're meeting with the Water Development Board again, because we still have $1 million from them. We're gonna have to put some money towards that, but we still have $1 million available to us, not like
Okay.
they've written a check or anything. It's there if the city wants to go ahead and do the planning portion,
Design.
Okay,
planning and design of the new wastewater treatment plant. But what's the shelf life on planning and design? So if we get that now, it takes a year to do it, and we can't build this thing until we're financially
so
able
we
to
get
build it.
financially able to build it, and they go, oh, that's.
Until we get
that went out.
Loan forgiveness or the grant funds and.
It's a timing thing right now.
So
We're just
do we
trying
go
to
ahead
line
and
those-
proceed with the planning and development or the planning and design of this thing, put it on the shelf, and then hope that we get the financing
Okay.
while we have that sitting on the shelf? And if not, we just wasted $1 million and some odd dollars.
I got you. Okay.
It's,
When we get it engineered, just be ready to go ahead and run.
we'll get more information tomorrow on
Yeah.
options, city, financial options from
Okay.
the Water Development Board. Who knows? Maybe they come in tomorrow and say, hey,
Found money.
we found money. It was in the,
That'd be
it was in
awesome.
the back room.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Texas
Speaking
Library.
of tomorrow,
I would-
there was a meeting about flood
I
control
would
or
agree
something.
with that.
Is that tomorrow?
There is a public meeting tomorrow, yes.
But it's not here.
It is.
It is here. There's two
Never mind.
meetings tomorrow.
Pay attention yet.
There's flood control, which would be the one here. And then there's the hazard mitigation plan, which is one that we're doing with SIPCOG and a lot of the regional cities, and that's one that they're hosting. So if that's one there's an online survey you can also take instead. But flood control, that's tomorrow at 5:30, and it'll be here. And that'll be with our engineers who are doing that.
So what is that about?
Okay, a couple of years ago, we got it was called the FIF grant. I don't know if you remember, I was talking about the FIF grant. It was like $300 and some odd thousand grant, and I think the city had to put 35,000 towards it. But it's basically a flood study of the region, and they carved Bartlett out specifically, and we got our own grant. Like Williamson County got a grant for their, for the entire county. I think even Bell County got a grant, but then like for some reason Bartlett got its own grant, and basically it's kind of like a mini comprehensive plan. They're supposed to tell you how water comes into Bartlett and how water's supposed to leave Bartlett,
Recommended project.
recommended projects, recommended size of culverts, drainage ditch issues, stuff like that. It's supposed to be something similar to that. From my understanding, is what I was told from the get-go, and that's what it was supposed to be. And so we saw it as a good opportunity back then because it's another Water Development Board grant, and they usually don't spend $300,000 on a city and then not follow up with the city and to fix the issues that are brought to attention. And so it's like you got to have a foundation, or you got to have the blueprint first before you can start doing the
Now, correct me
projects.
if I'm wrong. because I might have misunderstood it completely. But isn't this on the outskirts of, this is the Williamson County side?
No, it's all it's the entire city. Williamson County did their own, and focus, pay attention. Williamson County did their own, Bell County did their own, and the city of Bartlett did its own.
Right,
And so it's all gonna come together, but for some reason they did the city of Bartlett by itself. But like, Williamson County did their own.
well, maybe I'm remembering the guy from Williamson County.
There wasn't even a guy.
I was probably drinking that night too. He was, he was here, I saw him, I heard it.
What you gotta do?
But anyways, it's the flood infrastructure
Fund.
FIF is just another grant, and basically it's a big engineering. So they've been actually working on it. They come. I don't know if you've seen guys going around town like doing surveying and stuff like that. Yeah, but they've been working on it for a good while now, or at least a year.
And right now it's wrapping up. They're kind of developing recommendations and then they're finalizing that plan to present to the city.
So is there any benefit to people coming to this meeting? I mean,
You
what-
can ask the
what are they
question,
gonna learn?
what is this?
And you could probably ask, where are you seeing areas of concern? And,
Okay.
if you know there's problem areas where there are drainage issues.
You know, like right here, every time it rains, like right there, you got like a 2 foot deep water puddle to drive through, and I mean, and same thing down at the other intersection and even Jackson Street. And then it's basically, and then if you drive up and down the streets, you see your neighbor may have a 15-inch culvert pipe, but then the house on both sides of them don't even have a culvert. They've got it filled in and they're just driving through the drive, so it's going to be stuff like that. It's like, okay, water's coming in from that side of town. If you look at the cornfield on the end of town out there by Falcon Internet's little building, if you'll look at that, it's cut and it all leads to that big giant culvert right there at that corner, right behind the prison. And then that cuts through that property. And then if you go over to the Salt Lake Edition where the Mount Airy Park is, you see those other big culverts coming through. So that water's supposed to come through that culvert and all the way down Brook Street, all the way down there to that corner of Brook and Front Street, and then hits to the tracks and heads out of town to the Donahue. But if you'll follow that thing, you'll see people have built driveways over it and all kinds of stuff. And now they got these little bitty culvert pipes. So I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of culvert pipe projects in the near future. So, because like I know at my house, I've got on one driveway, I've got a 10-inch pipe. On the other one, I've got like a 12-inch pipe. And I mean, they're choke points. So when it rains, stuff just gets choked down and it's not enough of this. Then it goes out, then it starts getting up in the yards. And
Now it gets in the roads and corrodes.
what was it, about 5 years ago, we got that rain and it was like, dude, it was like 4 inches in 35 minutes. I mean, it's something
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
My son was doing cannonballs off the front porch, and I mean, it was like that deep in the front
Wow.
yard. And me and April Wolf, we grabbed rakes and we just started walking around just raking out the culverts. I got all the way to that one over here, by the railroad track on Front Street and Elm. And there was a mattress, like a futon mattress down there. You got a big old 36-inch pipe down there. And the futon mattress was laid over it. And I was sitting there just yanking on that thing with a rake, and I finally got it moved out of the way. And then it was like rapids just came through, and then the whole town just drained off. But it's going to be stuff like that. It's like drainage ditches that are overgrown and not maintained and stuff like that.
So if we have a drainage ditch that's technically in an easement, that has gotten filled with stuff and concrete and junk, is that something the city can take care of then? Is that part of the?
Well, with the funds, yeah. I mean, but there's no fund. I mean, we don't have like
We don't have a drainage kind
a
of,
drainage fund.
a drainage mitigation fund
Yeah.
of any
And so
sort. So it'd
maybe
be-
with the rate study, maybe it's something that they can put on the, once that $8.50 falls off,
Well,
and
let me
everybody's up
ask
and arms
this.
about.
So several years ago, people were talking about cleaning out the ditches. And so I'm possibly misunderstanding, but that's not like I can go there with a digger and just start digging a ditch. Because if I don't know which way that water's draining, and I do something wrong and it sends it to my neighbor's house
You can be held up.
and flood my neighbor, I mean, so I'm not sure what people are talking about. If you're talking about, hey, I need somebody to come over with a shovel and clean out under my driveway.
Ditch, I don't think it's a big problem. But if you divert the water flow, then you got a problem.
Exactly. So that's not something, or how I was told, that our guys can do. That's something you would want an engineer
You'd have to get
coming in.
that part
and-
engineered.
If that's what you're talking about. Or are you talking about, we're just talking about the limbs and, you
Well,
know,
that's a start.
the futon mattresses that are in the ditch.
I think it
the
goes
whole
I think we
thing.
need to
both
let everybody know
ways.
that we ain't picking up limbs no more.
Yeah,
The first pile to get too big.
Let me ask a question, like, I got a concrete culvert, whatever you call it, I'm talking about 1930. Fire department went out there, they were cleaning culverts out, they said, oh, we gotta clean that. No, you did, because it still backs up, because the culverts, there's two of them, and it's like this. Who handles that or replaces that? The
You
city?
gotta dig it up and take it out, take the old concrete one out, put you one of the big metal tin horns in there.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the culvert program where what we do is the resident will buy the culvert and then the city helps install it.
Well, cool, I'm gonna go buy a 48-inch one. Because when it rains, it goes up like what she's talking about, it backs up to my house. It doesn't go to the other one that I put in there. I put
That's the way the program's supposed to work, right?
Yeah, I think if they buy the culvert, the city will provide, yeah, install it, but there may be like a fee if they need gravel and stuff like that, you know, road base and stuff like that. So,
We'll look into it.
we've done a few in town.
okay. That's only got two of them, it's right now.
That was a great meeting.
Was
man.
Did we call the meeting?
Right, we have a meeting.
We need somebody to make a motion that you're
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
No, I'm gonna set it.
Well, third.
Who seconded? Shelton. All right, we'll call the meeting. 8:04.
Can I do a closing prayer for you? You guys don't get a lot of encouragement.
I thought you wanted a to-go box, but yeah, we'll take care of it. No, you're good.
Heavenly Father, we praise you for these board members and the mayor and the other church employees here and we know that they truly desire to do a good job and they desire to do those things which will enable this small town to continue and be profitable and be successful. And I pray, Father, that you will bless them in everything that they do. Fill them with your peace and your joy and your strength to accomplish whatever they need to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tom. We'll take all the prayer we can get, my friend.
Real good.
Anybody want
We should appreciate all the.
We'll take all the cookies
Sleeping on
too.
me.
Anybody else want cookies?